Welcome to this episode of the Strong Kind podcast. This episode is with Eliana Lin. Eliana is a physical therapist. She is a running and strength coach. She's a runner herself, and she's also a new mom. And a lot of this episode is oriented around pre and postpartum running and fitness, becoming a parent and the challenges of that, and the challenges of navigating the birth experience. So really good conversation. You know, if you're a woman who is expecting to have a child and you're into running, or if you're a busy parent already, this episode will probably hit. If you're someone who's supporting someone through that journey, this episode should be very informative. Had a great time talking to Eliana. I always love having conversations with her. She's fun to talk to. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you are stuck in the cycle of training and getting hurt and training and getting hurt, or you just want to get stronger, feel better, and move towards your goals, reach out to me at dr.dave.strengthandkindness on Instagram. Love to help you out. Thanks so much for being here. Peace. All right, Eliana. Eliana's been on before, and we've talked about just her collegiate wait, you were a pole jump. Wait, is it called pole jumping? What, I should know.
Pole vaulting.
Pole vaulting, yeah.
But close, you know.
Yeah. We talked about that and an injury you had the last time you were on, which, like, everybody go check out that episode. We might get into a little bit of, like, the same mindsets and stuff. But Eliana now has, how old is your little girl, Eliana?
10 months tomorrow.
10 months. Tomorrow. Awesome. Really,
Yeah.
very cool. Like these month birthdays or whatever, you know, they're
Yeah.
milestones, right? So, but this episode, I wanted to just chat with Eliana about just return to function postpartum, and the challenges of a newborn, being a first-time parent, being a parent at all, and they've also, Eliana kind of picked up her life and transported from one place to another. So a lot of life stress for Eliana, but she's also returning to run and feeling good. So the big question I think we should open up with is, like, this is kind of weird, but, like, your birth experience, was that, like, how was it? I think one of the things that me and my wife talk about all the time is you can prepare all you think, and I mean, I did nothing. I was the man, right? Like, I helped carried stuff, and but yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, until you've done it, you just don't know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I was someone who didn't go in with a really strong birth plan, to be honest. Like, I was kind of like, I want to have a healthy baby. I know I want to have a vaginal delivery, but other than that, I didn't have a ton of preferences going in. And so I was very, like, go with the flow through the process. And it's funny that you said you didn't do anything, because I honestly feel like we needed to prepare Austin more for what was going to happen, because he's a little traumatized.
Yeah.
Um, Overall, though, it's funny. It was the labor part of it was actually, like, fairly easy for me. I feel like that was really smooth. By the time I got to the hospital, I was already really dilated, and they were really happy with that. They were like, "Oh, you're getting admitted right away." I did get an epidural, but then the actual birth process was a little more traumatic than I guess I was expecting also. So I did get an epidural. Um, it didn't actually work. So we thought it worked, but it worked on everything except for the birthing experience. And then during birth, I had really, really long contractions, like over 2 minutes long, and the recovery time was less than 30 seconds. So the baby's heart rate kept dropping, and they kept switching my position, and we just, like, it was not going well, and she wasn't recovering. So they were like, "Okay, we're gonna do a vacuum if you're okay with it." And I was like, "Yes, just get her out safely." So they did that twice, and she did come out with the vacuum, so that was great. But what I didn't see, and I think what was traumatizing to Austin, was, like, when we started the birthing pushing experience, there were two midwives in there, and when I, like, opened my eyes and we were kind of towards the end, there were 14 people in the room,
Yeah.
and they had like the pediatric emergency like system set up. They had the C-section table, knives and everything set up because if the baby didn't come out, like that's what we were doing
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
But I kind of was out of it and didn't see all of that behind the scenes. So I actually was a little bit less, I think, traumatized than Austin.
I think I'm not gonna call Austin like he can be traumatized, but like I mean it's like even I was like what's going on here, like
Mhm.
but it's like an amazing experience, like on one hand, right? But then also like my seeing my like wife like labor and like just like navigating that and being like trying to just remain calm, and it was both like, and then like when my little boy comes out and like I'm cutting the umbilical cord, it's like freaking amazing and they're like jubilation, but like in it you're like what is happening, right?
Hmm.
and
Exactly.
and like yeah, your experience where it's like there's like a couple midwives in the room where you're like good, and then to have just a giant number of people be in that room, like okay, like, and which there's that's good and bad, right? Like the fact that they're like prepared, and I think that you want the baby to first and foremost get out safely and in a reasonable, and also you just to not be exhausted. Like, so it's funny you mentioned like your epidural. Mary had an epidural because she like we went to the hospital and she was like dilating, but it kind of slowed down like when we got there, and we she had to get she got an epidural. She didn't want one, which was like one of those things. I'm like, babe, like this is okay. This is part of this, right? But it didn't take on. It only went on like one side of her body, and then they had to do another one, and I was just like in front of her, and I almost passed out. Like I really didn't eat that much that day. I probably should have like went and like taken a break from the room, which again annoying because I'm like the dude doing nothing, but like. And the nurse looks at me like, "You need to sit down." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I like went and sat down. It was okay, but it's just such a yeah, and um, it's just such an experience, and like I'm just very grateful that we had knowledgeable people around. But it's also kind of hard. Like we had a nurse. I'm gonna be honest. The first nurse we had when we got there, like she annoyed the crap out of Mary.
Oh
Like,
no,
and
that's not good.
my wife is a pretty calm person, but like some of it was Mary did have like a birth plan that she like was intentional about, and that lady didn't like ask any questions, and like when the midwives came, she's like, yeah, she's not supposed to, this is fine, she doesn't need this stuff right now, it's okay, like, and so that was part of it, but yeah, it's just one of those things where you want to feel good, and that experience can be really tricky, right?
Yeah, and that's so interesting because I felt like where I gave birth at University of Michigan, they
Hmm.
were wonderful, and I feel like they were so good about asking like, "What's your plan? What do you want?" and
Yeah.
like kind of like walking through everything. They had like what's it called, tubs there that like you actually were allowed to labor and birth in and everything. Like they were amazing, but I'm that's sad that that happened for her.
Well, and it was okay, and it was like we kind of had to just like advocate for ourselves and be like, hey, like, and some of it was just like she wanted to like talk to us like throughout, like come in and like just chit chat. We're like, hey, like she's like wanting to relax and X Y Z, and it's kind of just like a read the room type of thing,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, but then like Mary also had like a really good. She worked with the midwives at the University of Iowa, has a really good relationship with them, and yeah, it's also like there's a lot to it, right? But ultimately, the baby came out, and we're happy and they're good, right? So,
And he's healthy
uh,
now?
well, and like going back to physical fitness, you worked out throughout your pregnancy, correct?
Yes, it was not actually to the extent that I wanted it to be, but I like that happens to people, right? Like your
Yeah.
body changes a lot and things are different that you don't expect to be different. But I was at least consistent throughout whether it was as much as I wanted it to be or not.
Well, that's kind of the game for some people,
Yeah.
right? So like Eliana and I work together. We've developed a friendship, and then like I started coaching her in the last 4 to 5 months from just a training and like honestly like I'm kind of I'm a personal development coach. Is like kind of
Yeah.
what it is. Like I help create structure, right? Like but Eliana like likes to work hard, likes to charge hard, which is good, but like pregnancy pregnancy is ultimate, like, hey, like your body cares about this thing inside, this baby inside of you, right? But how hard was it for you to like manage the expectations and like emotionally, physically, and even just undergoing the changes of pregnancy?
Yeah, I would say that was actually more of a challenge for me than I thought it was going to be. Like I was like, okay, like I can accept that I'm growing a human. That is so cool. I should just be happy with my body at all times. Like it's easy to say that, and then when you're in it, you're like, oh, this is not what I expected. So, I think first physically, I um I had a lot of pubic symphysis problems and from pretty early on. So just even like walking long distances would really bother me and things like that. And so not having that outlet of cardio with running and biking because anything split stance was really irritating. That was tough for me. And then add a growing body to that is also really challenging just from the mental perspective. And yes, you're growing a human, but it doesn't look like it until you're 27 weeks pregnant with your first baby. So you just feel like you look a little chunky and soft, which is not a bad thing. Again, you're growing a whole life, but it can be challenging mentally when you're used to being really fit, working out all of the time, pretty consistently, and then that has to trail off at the same time that you're growing a human. So I think that was a little bit challenging to navigate, but when I could take a step back and be like, okay, what's going to be healthiest for me and the baby, and big picture, this is 9 months out of the grand scheme of life. Like what can you do to be the healthiest you can be? What can you do to prepare for birth? What can you do to prepare for postpartum? And you put it in that perspective, that helped a lot. And then, I mean, on top of everything, like, I thought food was absolutely disgusting unless it was pierogies or chocolate milk, and that was pretty much my diet for pregnancy. So, that was like a whole other
Are we
separate
talking?
issue.
Are we talking? Pierogies are they're like a hand sandwich, right? Like meat in a flour ball. Like what is that? What?
Not even like the meat ones. They're like basically think of like frozen, almost like a ravioli, except filled with potato and cheese.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I just bought like big bags of the frozen ones and I ate those every day with like a tall glass of chocolate milk. I thought chicken was absolutely
Yeah,
disgusting. And that's all we used to eat in our house because Austin, he has a
yeah.
whole. Um,
Austin seems pretty regimented and intense, like to like and not like not like a scary way, in like a hyperfixation way.
yeah, yeah, like in an engineering brain kind of
Yeah,
way.
like
Like we eat chicken, rice, beans, and broccoli at
yeah,
night for dinner.
yeah,
Like he's just
yeah.
very like that. And so when I was like, well, we're eating pierogies, chocolate milk, maybe some gushers, and then add that to the training. It was a
Well,
time.
it's there. I mean, it's like it's a lot of things. Again, I'm a man, and I can't really comment specifically, but like it's super hard. I mean, it's super challenging, like for your body, like not in a bad way. It's just it is what it is. The like transition from feeling athletic, feeling capable, feeling strong, to like honestly, you just have to. Again, I don't really know, but like I do have like multiple pregnant clients right now. My wife has been through pregnancy, and but it's just yeah, it's like you're going through a phase of life that like you can't understand until you're going through it, right? Um, just even like the fatigue, like
I
from
was just gonna say
like
that.
that's something I'm just like when Mary was pregnant and um I'm like, just go sleep. Like it's fine. Like it's like it makes sense. You don't have to
I
push through X Y Z, right?
Yeah, I mean the exhaustion, that's something I forgot. That was weird. Like I don't take naps, and
Mm.
I needed to take naps. Sometimes I skipped workouts to take naps. Austin literally went into my calendar and put a 2 hour nap in the middle of my day, like in the
Yeah.
middle of my pregnancy, because he was like, "You just need to take more naps."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, that's one of those things more and more as, like, a coach and, like, a health professional. Like, I think, like, sleep is, like, I mean, fundamentally, like, probably the most important thing we do physically, which is, like, it's, like, weird to say because, like, so much of the grind mindset is, like, you gotta, like, and don't get me wrong, like, there are seasons of life where people, like, if it is between you getting a workout consistently and not, then, like, maybe you sacrifice, like, a little bit of sleep to do that, right? But like pregnancy and in general, I think most people like they're just overworked. They're stressed. Then like sleep is an opportunity to literally sleep, right? Like not
Yeah.
think about stuff and relax, right? So um when it came to like so when did you stop running like in your like pre-birth phase?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I actually stopped super early. I stopped, I don't know, maybe when I was 8, 10 weeks pregnant, like very early. And that actually wasn't from the pubic symphysis stuff going on. I originally stopped because I kind of overloaded and burnt myself out. And I was like, I just feel like in this season of life, I need a rest anyway from running.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of doing things that you enjoy. So I was like switching more to the biking realm of things at that point anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I stopped super early.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, like that is one of the other hard things that a lot of people like burn themselves out on their training, mostly because like let's be honest, a lot of the reason that we're doing this stuff is to manage our brain, right? Or to help us manage. It's a physical outlet that helps us manage the stressors of life. But like you also just get in the rhythm of like I gotta run this amount today or it's a failure, right? And that's tricky, right? So
Yeah.
do you
And
feel like go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, and running a running gym, I felt like put a lot of pressure on me. And then I had run a half marathon. So I was like, I was in the pressure of like, I'm coaching people to run. I need to be running. I need to perform well. And I just was
Yes.
like, okay, I need a rest.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the other thing about like running, or running a running related business, running a training related business. Like it becomes kind of easy to like become a little not. It is performative. It is like I'm leading by example type of stuff, and it's not always bad, but it's a good way to like beat yourself up and not get what you really need out of the experience, right? When
Yeah.
it comes to um like your do you feel though that your athletic background, your training background, was it helpful
Oh,
during
yeah.
pregnancy?
Oh,
Give
yeah.
me that's good. You were like emphatic. So like tell me how.
Um, I mean, being pregnant is challenging to I actually liked being pregnant. I'm gonna also say that real quick. Like I know that some people really hate being pregnant. I enjoyed being pregnant. I thought it was so cool. But being pregnant is hard. Like it's physically challenging. I mean, by the end, Austin and I would like walk to the library and I was huge and I was like out of breath and all these things. And I was like, if I was not physically fit before this, I would not have made it to the library. But like just like little things like that, of being able to continue to do things while I like towards the end of my pregnancy, being fit certainly helped. I think it also helped the aches and pains and all of that. Like I in general, like yes, I had all the pubic symphysis stuff, but like in general my back wasn't really bothering me, like my feet weren't really bothering, like things like that, because I think I was just used to having more load on those systems in general. So that helped. And then for again like the actual laboring pushing process, I mean it's hard to know like exactly tie how fit you are to how much that helps, but my labor was pretty quick for a first time labor. Like I would say labor through delivery was 12 to 14 hours, like the whole thing. And my pushing phase, I mean, yes, they used a vacuum, but was like 32 minutes.
Yeah.
So like overall that all went really fast and then my recovery was phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
I did have some tearing in it everything, but I recovered really quickly and I really do think it's because I was fit beforehand.
I mean, I've seen people compare pregnancy and birth to like it's this like it's probably like one of the most challenging physical experiences that humans undergo, and so being fit, like this is also something I didn't really understand until like my wife became a public for PT and XYZ. But like you don't push the baby out. Like your uterus pushes the baby out. Like your uterus is literally like that's what that thing is doing is pushing the baby out. But like you learning to relax and being physically capable to honestly like okay, again, contractions seem really not fun, right? Like just being able to kind of like withstand those things seems like
Hmm.
very helpful, right? And I agree. Like a lot of training is actually we're just trying to create these like general adaptations to manage stress, right? Like everybody kind of gets into the specifics of stuff, but like a lot of times those specific things are just like the manifestation of some practice and that you've gotten stronger, fitter, XYZ, right? So
Yeah, and I feel like it's not about trying to make like yeah, you want to be comfortable during labor and delivery, but really like how comfortable are you going to be?
yeah,
It's kind of about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, like learning
yeah.
how to manage that more so than anything.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like one of those paradoxical things of life. But like, yeah, it is like it's not toughness. It's just like acceptance of like, yep, okay, I can handle this. Again, I just was in the room and helping out and whatever. It's getting out of the way and whatnot. So let's talk like postpartum. You know, it's also one of those things that like we don't really think about, but like there's like bleeding for a few days, actually like a week or two, right?
Weeks,
Like yeah, that's
weeks.
weeks. Like it's a while, right? There is just like recovery, like your tissues that have like pretty much, and it's not like they just immediately go back, but like that your body is like relaxing and allowing your hips to like basically widen out and so you can give birth. But like, what were your experiences with some of like which was those early postpartum days? I also know just from working with Stella is not the best sleeper. I don't want to say that. So there's like just navigating sleep and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, so I'll start early postpartum, and then if we want to travel, we definitely can.
Yeah.
Early postpartum um, was was interesting. I postpartum definitely hits you like a truck, but I feel like for me that truck didn't hit till like 6 weeks.
Mm.
So in the early phases, I actually kind of knew what to expect. Like you have all the bleeding, you're sitting there, you're resting, your baby is mostly on you all day long. My mom was lovely and came out and stayed with me for the first week, so she was just bringing me food, and she was there like if I wanted to shower and do all that stuff. So like the first week was kind of what I'd call this like baby land. Like I was
Mm.
just sitting in a rocker and enjoying my baby and like I really wasn't worrying about much of the outside world. Sleep didn't really matter so much actually because like I was just sitting in a chair not doing anything. So if I was tired, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine. And that's not the case for everyone. Like if you don't have help or and it's not like I wasn't exhausted. I absolutely was. I just had a lot less to do. The one recovery thing that did hit me by like shock, and this is TMI, but hemorrhoids were awful. And like I had to sit on like an actual circular pillow because they hurt so bad. Like I actually think that was the worst pain in the beginning. And I couldn't really feel all the other pains until those healed a little bit. Um, so that was big. And then I will say the other thing is when I was starting to feel good in those early days, where I was like, okay, I'm really bored of sitting in a chair. Like, I need to just move my body a little bit. We would go on a super short walk. I mean, maybe 5 to 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
tops.
Mm-hmm.
And while I felt okay ish physically, my insides actually hurt, like to the point where I would get nauseous. And it's because you have that big wound that's the size of a dinner plate in your uterus and stomach, and you can't see it, but you would realize it when you would get up and do something. And I just totally, because you can't see it, you don't understand it until you literally feel the wound inside of you.
Yeah, that's wild. I was like, I guess I like actually like I understood the bleeding, but you just saying it as like the size of a dinner plate like that just like blew my mind because I don't think I ever conceptualized it like that. And then like I mean to be honest too, it's it's not really TMI. Like I think more people need to understand like the human body is amazing, but like people get hemorrhoids. Like people have like these like things that kind of suck, and they also like improve, right? Or in like again, there's a lot going on there, but I think what I noticed and what I appreciated was just like hopefully you have the support. And again, not everybody is fortunate and I have enough to support, but just even having like my mother-in-law came and stayed for a little over a week and a half and like super helpful. My parents were relatively close and like they've done it before, which I think is helpful. They and then yeah, like just allowing, I mean, this is one thing that we could probably overarchingly agree in this country we don't do a great job of, is like allowing like the dad to be home for a long period of time, the mom to have like basically not have to worry about work or XYZ for a long period of time. Yeah, because it's hard and it's new. But that return to activity too, from a physical side, like yeah, I mean, I just know people that have had to go back to work like 3 to 4, like it's like crazy, and maybe some of that was their own choice a little bit, like because the few people I can recall, like it was like, what are we doing? But that is like really challenging because it is like a slow buildup. It's like yeah, now you're prepping for a marathon, but you're at week 1 of like a 24-week prep type of thing, where people jump back into their old activities, and then it's like, why am I hurting, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, that like return to, I mean, yeah, we don't do a good enough job here where people have to return to 12 weeks. And I'm super fortunate that I can stay home with Stella and work at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how I would have gone back to work at 12 weeks. I mean, Stella wasn't sleeping literally at all by herself. It was all on me. And then yeah, people return and then jump. They're like, okay, I'm returning to work so I can jump back into all my same activities. I'm good to go. And that's when like everything's kind of a storm for the body, the mind, everything.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about just the physical side of like returning to run postpartum for you. What did that look like? What were the things you were taking into consideration? How would you coach somebody outside of yourself differently than maybe internally for yourself? But like,
Yeah.
let's just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So like again, I kind of have a foundation of what I should be doing, um, even before working with you and stuff like that, but also making yourself do the things is tough. Like, I totally believe in coaches having coaches, because not even motivating, but telling yourself what to do or looking at yourself from a objective perspective is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But so I did, like in those early days, I did try to at least do some breath work, some core work, some pelvic floor work, like all the basics leading up to that 6 week appointment. The 6 week appointment, that doesn't really mean too much, but anyway, leading up to that, I did some of those basics. So I was feeling pretty good, and I was lucky in the sense that I didn't have a lot of heaviness, leakage, like all of that stuff. And so recovery is going to look, or return to run is going to look very, very different for somebody that maybe has some of those leaking symptoms versus somebody who does not. So my, like for different people would maybe be different, but for at least where I was with none of those symptoms, having done all of that work leading up to that 6 week appointment, I took a very slow approach from there. So from there, I kind of did a little bit of plyometrics. Like I generally recommend people do some plyometrics before they actually start running and some strength work before they actually start running, just to make sure that their body can handle it and so it's not such a shock to the system. Should I maybe have done a little bit more before I tested the waters? Yes, but again, I'm also a human and I just wanted to try it, so I did.
Hmm.
Um, and then I started with really easy walk runs. And that is somewhere that I think people go wrong the most is they're like, okay, they told me I can run, I'm gonna go run 3 miles. And
Hmm.
your body is just so not in that place, even though it's been 6 weeks of recovery. So I started with like 1 minute walk, 1 minute jog 10 times, like very, very slowly, and gradually worked my way up to running a continuous 1 to 2 miles and then built from there. And I was maybe only running 2 days a week when I first started my return to run because I also had to fit in time for strength work, which I knew, and I had a newborn baby. Like I was not working out every single day. Um, where I like would again like maybe coach differently than what I did was probably do some more of that strength work and prioritize some of that over getting out and running, but also being a postpartum mom, like I needed to get outside and I
Hmm.
just needed that for myself and I was physically okay to do so. So I did sometimes go that way. But yeah, that's kind of like my early journey into return to run.
Yeah, I think the in general, like runners hate run walk interval type of things. It's just crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. It's just it is like when we think about running, it's like continuous running for periods of time. But like run walk intervals are such a good tool to just help people manage like workload. Running really slow is also like a really good tool, but people hate it. like, like if you, I've told people like you might have to run 15-minute miles for a little bit, like, and they're like, well, that's like barely faster than walking. I'm like, I know, like that's kind of just what your body needs right now. Like, it's hard, but it's also just this graded exposure to the stresses of what you're trying to do after you've gone undergone a giant change to your body, right? And so yeah, it's tricky, and humans are we're mental, physical, and emotional creatures, and like the logic and the rational parts of us don't always and the emotional parts of us don't like line up perfectly, right? As you got back into like you kind of went through the what we maybe call like the rehab phase, and like again plyometrics, the big thing I think people don't get about plyometrics is like it's not about necessarily duration even or intensity per se. Like the utility of a plyometric is like it's a very good way to like give somebody like a dose of stress. Like, hey, do 10 seconds of this. Start getting some ground contact time, right? Whereas like people always just want to go harder. Like I want to do these. Can I do harder stuff? I'm like, the utility of this is like to get yourself springy again. Like to start. You think about. I always just go back to like when I ran as a kid. Like I had so much time of just like playing around, like where it was just like easy, and you're just you kind of walk, run. You're playing with your friends, and then like I took like 4 to 5 years of my life where I was just like all I was doing was either exercise or like walking around, and that changed how like running felt. Like I just felt like achy and stiff and XYZ, and it's like because I didn't do like the plyometric like behaviors, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big phase that I think a lot of people, and it's not like you have to do that a ton of it. It's just like use it as a warm up, use it as, and then like your strengthening type of stuff. What
Yeah.
did you what did you focus on when it came to strengthening?
Yeah, great question. I again for me, I didn't have a lot of like symptoms coming out of postpartum, and I was really lucky. So, I generally focused on becoming a strong version of myself, like strong athlete. And so for me, that looked like squats, deadlifts, some cleans, things like that, like bigger movements. And obviously, I went into them very slowly, like starting with my like dumbbells, kettlebells, working back up to the barbell, all of that stuff. And within that, adding in my core and my breath work, which I was already doing, but then using that to bring it to my lifting to feel sturdy, to feel like an athlete, and I knew that would translate to running. Probably the one area of focus that I did start with in there was doing some adductor work, which I know we've like brought back in now.
Yeah.
But because I had all the pubic symphysis stuff going on, I really wanted to get my adductors and hip strengthened back up again. So that was like maybe where my accessory work was focused. So yeah, like generally just being a really well-rounded athlete with the additions of like core, adductors, and hips. That was probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I think there's so much marketing and like branding around training for sport, right? And like good training kind of is like it's almost a little universal. Like if you're an endurance runner, like you should still be doing squats and hinges and upper body work. It's just the degree to which you're doing it, and obviously like if your sport is running, like you're not going to be lifting the same loads as somebody whose sport is powerlifting per se. Now, like everybody's individual variations and whatnot, but like good training checks a lot of boxes. And like for a runner, it usually looks like some form of a squat. Maybe that could be either single or double leg. I think there's strategies and like, some of it's just accessory work that you can incorporate. Hinging, which is like deadlifting and Romanian deadlifting and power cleans, that type of stuff. But yeah, like you've gotten just even since you were already working on this stuff, and I think a lot of my job as a coach, and I think we would both agree as a coach, it's like it's just about structure and focus. It's like, and it's honestly about just clarifying what you're after. And then I've recently. She was going to do something, but Eliana signed up for a mile race, which like she's never done a mile race, which is pretty dope. Because how old are you now?
I'm 28.
28, right? So like and she was a pole vaulter, but like some of this is like find ways to have a competitive outlet as adult for fun, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, but yeah, running a mile fast. When is it again? Is it April? No.
March 7th.
March 7th. Okay, so we're close. But which is like we've tested her 5K recently. We've done a mile, right? Yeah, we did a mile not too long ago. But what is it about maybe like signing up for these things, right? You've gotten back into just training and living postpartum, but like what is it about signing up for stuff that is helpful to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have always had that competitive thing, and something about postpartum, like I said, hit me like a truck a little bit later than like that initial postpartum period. And I love being a mom. I absolutely love it, but it is also really hard sometimes. And like there's this little baby that needs you for absolutely everything. We are up like six times a night. Um, it's just sometimes you get overstimulated, out touched, all the things. And again, like I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But also, there's a sense of like, as I went through this period, that I started to be like, I feel like a shell of a human, like just a little bit. Like I'm just here to take care of this person, and who even am I? And so as I started to bring training back in, and I think this is something like when we started working together, like it was so nice to have somebody from the outside help me like actually fit it into my life again. And when I started doing that again consistently instead of sporadically, I started to feel better, feel more like myself, and then start feeling like an athlete again, which was really fun. But then I was like, okay, I want to challenge myself. I want to see where this can go. I want to be competitive again. And like, why not? Yeah, I'm a mom, but I can still do that.
Yeah.
So then it was just about finding things that wouldn't burn me out. Like I have no desire right now to go run a half marathon. Like that's just not in my life design right now, that doesn't make sense for me right now. But running a mile really fast sounds really fun and really challenging. So it's kind of like a perfect mix and gives me something for me, like something that I get to work towards besides being a mom.
I think parenthood has taught me like I mean, first and foremost, and it's a really good perspective. And I don't think you have to become a parent to realize this, but like life is not just about like me, and like so I have to like become more patient. You know, like little kids are literally like the most amazing way to learn to be patient because they are not on a timeline, right? Um, and but that also requires that like I have to become more adaptable. Like sometimes that means like I don't get the workout I wanted to do in, and I have to just do like a 20-minute thing, or I have to move it towards after we put our son down, and then I'm doing it at 8 o'clock at night, which is not ideal. And your brain can be like, well, this isn't the right time, and like you're not gonna have a good workout. And it's like most of that doesn't matter, right? Like when for you, just one of the things that we just when we first started working together is like, all right, like you have 20 minutes, 25 minutes, right? You can get a good amount of work done, and that can be awesome. It's just how we structure it, and is it like doing the stuff you want to do in the amount of time that you have, which is really powerful, right? And then when it comes to like, I just think about like, you know, our kids are really little right now, but like wherever life goes, you know, hopefully we stay like you stay running and doing stuff, and I'm gonna I just like to find like physical challenges that kind of focus me, and it's like yeah, like if your little kids like are like or like when they're 10 or whatever, like I mean, you ran a mile, like they you know they start to see these memories. It's like very cool in their brain, right? So that's one of the big things, and it's just also like yeah, you have to be adaptable. Like so much of the running world is the half marathon or the marathon training, and it's like I guarantee you that, and this is what I really like try to like bring about with like runners that I work with, like if you get faster at the shorter distances, like you're just going to become a better runner, right? It doesn't mean it's like doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily like PR your marathon just cuz you ran a mile faster, but I guarantee you it's setting you up for like becoming a better runner in the long run, right?
Yeah, and this is a big, I don't know, Austin and I have talked a lot about it. I used to talk about it at the gym. It's one of the things that I think there's so much focus on the half marathon and the marathon. And those are like, if you do a marathon, you are a runner. And like, there's just so much pressure to do the marathon, but I almost feel like there's too much pressure to do it before you've done the steps leading up to it.
Yeah.
It's like do the 5K, do the 10K, get good at those, get fast at those, then transition up, and then you're going to do better instead of just like finagling your way through it. So there's a lot to be said for doing the shorter distances.
I 100%, and it's also just easier in certain phases of life to
Yeah.
train for those shorter distances. Like you can
Yeah.
go do a really good like mile oriented workout in 20 minutes, right? Whereas like you know, half marathon prep, like it's you got to spend a lot of time on your feet, and but like running fast is like the specific strength work of running. Like I did a track workout last week and I was like so sore because I actually was running hard, which has also taken me, you know, again, like at 37, it took me longer than I would have liked, but like I like strained my calf like twice. I strained my groin like because I was just trying to jump in and go too fast like basically 2 years ago. And now I've done a lot more plyometric work. I've taken these build ups slower. It was funny because Austin like commented. Austin is Eliana's husband. He's like, yeah, it's like sprinting is just really just warming up and then having like one hard run, right? Like that's what the workout is, right?
In college, we used to do 45-minute warm-ups, 45 minutes of warming up, and then your workout would be like this
Yeah,
long.
yeah. Which is like, I mean, they have to like that's one of the things about like high school and college. It's like, yeah, we got a 90 minutes for practice today. When you're an adult, it's like some of that's just like grade it, right? Like
Yeah.
you can get warmed up pretty decent in 10 to 15 minutes. It's not the same per se, but you also don't have to run your sprints all out. Like I was going like at 80% type of thing. Like I don't know the difference between 80 and 100 very much, but you know, like it's funny. But yeah, I think people we put the one goal in our brain and we don't associate all these like steps with it, right?
Yeah.
And like they're kind of like milestones. Like little kids have all these milestones, and that's good. You know, adults have stopped doing that. It's almost like we got to do the thing or we're not doing it at all, type of stuff, right?
Yeah, and I feel like we need that postpartum. Like we need to have those milestones. Like why are we skipping all the ones in the middle? Like they're so important. Like can you walk without pain
Yeah,
and leaking before you try to run 3 miles? Like why do we skip that?
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, it's human nature.
yeah,
We're skip step. We're
I
skip.
know, I know. I do it too. It's easy to say,
Right,
but
100% right. Well, and that's like most things. Everything is easier said than done. Like,
yeah.
and that's kind of where we're at. We're in the information age where all this information is out there, but like the doing of it is what actually changes things, right? Um, what are your like last words of encouragement for moms who are postpartum looking to return to run? What big pieces of advice would you give?
Ooh. I would say there's so much, but I would say number one, you're doing great. You're taking care of a whole small tiny human, and like that in itself is a whole job. So you're doing better than you think, even when you don't think you're doing well. And those small pockets of time that you have are great pockets of time. If you did something for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's more than nothing. And that's where it all starts. Like you find these little pockets, and then eventually the pockets grow. So just be patient, do what you can in the time that you have. Don't put too much stress on it. This time frame is short. And yeah, just like slowly get into it.
I
Don't
think
beat yourself up.
I think there's this weird thing that I have felt, and I think I bet you feel it too. It's like the weight of any singular moment of like, oh, this is really hard, this is overwhelming, this is exhausting, but like ultimately like you get through those moments, like you
hmm
do. And like really just taking it one day at a time, it's such a cliche, but like if you just have a good day over and over again, like life gets pretty good. It's
Yeah.
like the constant, if you just like struggle and you almost get stuck again, this is, everybody's got their own experience, but like it really is just one good day at a time. And
Yeah.
honestly, some of it's just like get to the next meal, right? Get to the next nap, and good things happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. So each next little step, do what you can, and it all comes together eventually. It just takes some time.
Yep, love it. Where can people find you, Eliana?
Yes, people can find me on Instagram at eliana.upandrunning, or we also have a website, upandrunningperformance.com.
Love
Both
it.
of those are good places.
I'll put links to those in the show notes. Thanks so much for your time. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Peace.